Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Refold podcast. My name is Clayton, also known as George Pig. I manage the community here at Refold, and today we have a special episode. We have Bree, Refold's social media mage, and join us as we talk about raising kids, using Refold, and homeschool, as well as just working for Refold. All right, Bree, it is good to have you here. Long time no see.
Long time no see. Yeah. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so I guess you have been doing. Do you want to introduce yourself for people who do not know you?
Sure. I used to be on the podcast more regularly. My name is Bree, aka Briz, and I do social media stuff and other random things for Refold. So that's my general thing. Oh, and I'm learning Spanish. I guess that's important. And I am a stage 3 learner. So I'm a baby outputter, if you will.
How long have you been at Spanish?
Too long. I started learning right before the pandemic. So it's funny because I didn't choose it as a pandemic hobby. I chose it before the pandemic, but I got to really sink my teeth into it during the pandemic. I had a lot more time suddenly, like everyone else.
So let's back it up. What is your
Okay.
origin story? Because actually, I do know that
Oh.
you have an origin story. You've done French in the past, Japanese in the past. I know
Yeah.
there's actually a background. So
There's some failures in
Spanish is
my
not your
past.
first time teaching yourself a language.
Well, it's my first success, but yes. So like many people, I tried and failed to learn Spanish in high school, and that did not go very well. I'm about to out myself, but sorry, Senora Smith, I cheated to pass the class. And I feel like this is like divine karma now that I'm obsessed with learning Spanish, but I cheated to pass. Sorry, listen, don't follow my footsteps. I was really bad. Um and then years after that, I was in college and I took French. I thought, fresh slate. I'm actually going to try this time. I'm going to go in and I'm going to learn French. It's going to happen. I used to work at Rosetta Stone. I had access to Rosetta Stone. Like, let's do this. It didn't happen. I didn't I didn't learn French even though I was wanted to. I really wanted to succeed. And then fast forward 10, 15 years. I hate saying that. I feel like I'm dating myself. I tried learning Japanese because a few of my friends were going to learn Japanese and they're like, "Hey Bree, I'm learning Japanese. Here's an Anki deck. Do you want to learn with me?" And I was like, yeah, I like anime. So let's do it. Let's learn Japanese." And I was really intense into it. I didn't learn a lot, but that's when I was introduced to Anki. And then fast forward 6 months, I was doing Genki and stuff too. And then fast forward 6 months and I discovered Matt versus Japan and all that and immersion learning. And I was really mad at myself that I didn't just start with it. And so I decided to quit Japanese, start fresh with Spanish, with immersion learning. And here I am. So that was a really long introduction. I apologize, but that's what it is.
So you cheated in Spanish in high school.
I
Then you
did.
tried to do Rosetta Stone. Then you stumbled into Matt versus Japan.
Yeah.
And then you switched to Spanish. So why did you give up Japanese?
I gave up Japanese because I realized that my goal wasn't necessarily to do anything with Japanese. I really just want to be bilingual. Um, Part of the thing that inspired me to learn a language was that I learned that if you learn one or if you're bilingual, you're less likely to develop Alzheimer's and dementia as early. And that runs in my family. And the older you get, the more aware you become of your own mortality and aging and all that stuff. And I really wanted to get the brain benefits. And I also have a child and I want to be able to assist her with learning a language. And I figured I could probably learn Spanish quicker than Japanese, and it would probably be more useful than Japanese. And I want to be able to use the language.
Mhm.
and I don't want to have to move to a country to do it. And Spanish is already so widely spoken here. It just kind of felt like a no-brainer, you know?
Right, there's a lot of TV in Spanish, and
Yeah.
it's fairly easy to meet Spanish speakers in the States. So you
Yes,
mentioned that you have a child.
I do.
We'll call her M.
Sure.
Uh, and with M, uh, you're refolding her. She's sort of an experiment. So a lot of refolders, a lot of people doing immersion learning,
Hmm.
they're teenagers at the youngest.
Yes.
They're either teens who get into it, or they're a little bit older, or they're all
Yes.
the way to like being full grown adults. We've had a couple
Yes.
of clients who are in their 60s and 70s,
Yeah.
um, but not too many people are
Hmm.
refolding their kids. uh,
No, I'm a
and
pioneer.
yeah, you're a pioneer with it. I would actually like to see more people get into it.
Yes. Yes.
But do you want to talk about that? So,
Yeah, let's do
you
it. This is like all
I,
I want to talk about ever, so I am excited to talk about
right? So you
it.
homeschool, so we should
I
probably lead with
do.
that. So you're used to like
Yeah.
designing a curriculum,
Well, I follow
and
curriculum. But I was looking for a language curriculum, but as an immersion learner who has very strong opinions about language learning, I wasn't happy with anything that was out there for kids. There's a lot of things that I think do some things well, but other things not so well. And so my challenge was she's 6 years old. She can't read English yet. And I needed to figure out a way to apply refold
she can
methodologies
she
for
can read
her.
English a little bit, right?
Oh, I mean, like cat,
Like she can
dog,
read
some
single
sight
words.
words. Yeah, so like she can do like CVC stuff. But like Anki, like she wouldn't be able to like review an Anki deck without
I would
serious
not wish
assistance.
Anki on a child. That just
No.
there are
Yeah.
there has to be better
It's so
ways to
boring.
get SRS for kids.
Well, there actually is a good SRS for kids, and I wish that it was better. So Super Memo has like a kids Spanish super memo course, and it's actually really interactive and really cool. So it's all pictures, and you click the things on the pictures, and it's bright and it's colorful and it's fun, but it's only 100 words. It's not the most frequent words. It's not words that you're going to see in immersion. It's like
Mhm,
counting, the classic stuff like
mhm.
colors, counting, foods. That's great, but that's not going to help you understand anything, other than there's a hamburger on the screen. So what I'm doing is I've actually taken the Refold ES1K and I exported it as an Excel file and I printed it out. This is like how crazy it is because like I also don't want to have tons of screen time. And then I created like a baby gold list. I don't know if y'all have seen the gold list video that Ben did, but I applied that to her. And so what I do is I give her a word and then I have her illustrate the word. She loves to draw. So I have her illustrate the word. And then every day we go back and look at our previous day's words. And then at the end of the week, we go over all of the words for the week, redrawing the words that she forgets. And then we go back to the previous week and review those words. And then every day she watches like a show in Spanish that's fairly comprehensible for kids. And I try to have her look out for words that she understands. So
Yeah.
that's the
Speaking of
general gist of it.
the kids shows, a lot of the kid
Yeah.
crack, as I like to call it, gets
Yeah.
dubbed in Spanish.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of those
There's
like
tons of it.
tons of YouTube channels. We're not even talking like TV shows, but like YouTube
Right?
channels that are popular with
Yeah.
kids get dubbed, which is
Yes.
interesting.
They do. And what's awesome is okay, so for lack of a better word, there's a lot of trash out there. I think. Personal opinion. I think there's like a lot of like YouTube kids trash that's not really like fulfilling or whatever. You're not learning anything. But and it's not like dangerous. It's just like not it's like junk food. It's like eating potato chips. Like it doesn't do anything for your brain. But if you
Videos
watch
of
it
kids
dubbed
opening
in
toys.
yes, that kind of stuff. But
Hmm.
if you watch it dubbed in Spanish, suddenly it's educational. Suddenly it's doing something for your brain. And suddenly it's highly compelling input. So I have just switched all of those channels to Spanish that I could find, and she watches them. And I kind of like play like I don't want her to watch it. I'm like, oh no, I don't want you to watch that. And then that makes her want to watch it even more. So I will say that like she doesn't speak Spanish. Like she doesn't comprehend a lot, but we haven't been doing a lot of, you know, not like not active immersion, but intensive. You know what I mean?
Interactive is the new term.
Interactive,
Yeah.
is it? I don't know. The term's
Now you
changed, but we
mentioned that
don't
you
like
tried to
go
get
into every
her to
single
kind
word.
of do interactive. You tried to get her to like watch a show, write
Yeah.
down words, and then draw a picture. And you found that 6-year-olds do not want to write things down when they're watching shows. They just want to watch
Well,
the show.
it's also, you know, learning Spanish is my passion.
Hmm.
So I'm personally heavily motivated to do these things myself. Learning Spanish is not her passion. It's just part of her school day that her
Mhm.
teacher, mommy, is making her do. So I tried to adapt it so that it was more tolerable for her and so that she wouldn't um hate doing it, you know, because that's
Mhm.
the last thing I want is for her to associate Spanish with something that she hates doing. So the good
Right.
thing is that I can adjust along the way and see how she goes. But she maybe has like 20 or 30 words so far in her little like baby gold list, and
How long
it's
have you
great.
guys been doing the baby gold list?
We've been doing it on and off for about maybe like a month and a half, maybe 2 months, but like it's very slow. We're not in a rush. She's 6 years old. She's going to be
Mhm.
a sponge for a while. So it's not like, you know, like I'm 35 and it's like I need to be bilingual yesterday. That's not the situation. She's got her whole childhood ahead of her. So I'm just trying to facilitate her learning and make it possible for her, you know?
Yeah, I think it's interesting if you get her the first couple thousand words under her belt. At some point,
Yes.
kids like to watch stuff. They like to watch things over and over. They're highly
Yeah.
repetitive creatures. Um,
Yes.
and if you
Tell me
can
about
start
it.
her off by the time she's 10 years old or something, you
Mhm.
can just leave books laying around that happen to be in
Mhm.
Spanish, and you
Oh,
just
I've
got to
got
get it to that
tons
point.
too. Yeah. Yeah, and my goal too is to get to a level where, you know, as she progresses in Spanish, like I want to be able to more actively participate in that with her because she's highly social. So, you know, that's another part of the motivation for me learning Spanish is, you know, what's the point of making your kid do it if you're not doing it too? I don't know. So I'm really excited about it. Um, and she's actually starting to get more excited about Spanish. Like she'll hear it. She goes, Mommy, I heard a word. Or Mommy, I know what rainbow is in Spanish. It's this. Or, you know, like she's starting to pick up more and she's getting more and more excited about things. And she'll start she's actually starting to babble in Spanish, which I think is huge. You know, kids, they learn through like English or their first language, they learn through babbling. There's like a certain progression that they go through. And she's starting to do that in Spanish. So, and she's starting to get excited about it. And I'm trying not to get weird about it. Like, you know, not get like, oh, mommy's super into it. Like it's a weird now, but like, I'm just trying to like foster that and kindle that fire. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see how it goes.
So, in addition to the baby gold list, is there anything else that you're doing with her?
Uh, for language learning,
Mhm.
so switching over her Netflix to Spanish. A lot of times, what I'll do is like I'll let her get into a new show in English, kind of let her, you know, watch through it, and then we switch it to Spanish. And she'll rewatch shows that way. And we have some books and stuff, but she's much more interested in like YouTube and shows. So I've just been trying to harness like screen time into like we're going to use it to like learn something. And I try not to let her use too much screen time. So the little screen time that we do have, it's mostly in Spanish. But that's about it. Like we're doing immersion, you know? Like let's see where immersion goes. I don't want to like overdo the curriculum. We'll play games. Like if she can't sit down like with her goldless words, I'll have her act out the word maybe. Like I'll say the word and have her act it out or find it and make it active because she's a kid and kids learn through playing. But you know, nothing like too crazy. Like do these grammar exercises or anything like that.
Yeah, and being in the States, have you
Hmm.
ever considered, are there any options for her to go make friends who speak Spanish?
You know, in many areas there are. In our area, not so much. There's not a lot of Spanish speakers or meetups in our area. However, it's been COVID, right? So
Right.
now that we're finally exiting out of that, I think there might be more opportunities. Like For example, in our neighborhood, we have a lake, and a lot of families go to the lake. And I've noticed, some might be Latin American. I don't know, but it's kind of weird. I would love to have her make friends, and speak Spanish with them, but I'm also not going to force it. Right now it's like mostly just part of our curriculum, but if like that naturally happens, then we'll definitely jump on it. But like, for example, in our area, there's no immersion schools, there's no bilingual schools, because I was looking into that as an alternative for homeschool. Homeschool wasn't really my first option, it just ended up this way. And so there's really just like not a lot in the area that we live in, unfortunately. Like, it would be awesome if there were. They're not even meetups like for people my age. For people my age, for adults. There's no like there's I looked it up like on meetup.com looking for like a Spanish meetup in my area, and like in 1 hour radius there was one, and it maybe had like 4 people, and they were all like just like white dudes, like it wasn't like, so we are where we are. I'm thankful to be where we are. I love our area. But it's just, there's not a lot of Spanish speakers here. Every other area though that I lived in, there were. It's like this area that we are in is just kind of like an anomaly, I think.
Yeah, I've unfortunately heard that meetup.com is not what it used to be.
Yeah. I'm going to have to find other avenues.
I don't know if COVID killed the meetups.
Maybe. It's possible.
They didn't survive the shift to online and then to back offline. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I've heard that meetup is kind of hard, right? To find a group.
Yeah. Sad.
Ethan's in California, in a big city. And I think he
Right.
said that there were only one of the 6 groups in his area were active.
Yes, but the one that he did find was awesome. Like, he has like a great time going to the meetups and doing that
He's
stuff.
in a major metro area, whereas you are
not. I'm not. Mm-hmm. I'm in the country.
So you mentioned that Spanish is just kind of part of her curriculum. When it comes to M, does she ever seek out Spanish? Does she ever have something that she wants to do that happens to be in Spanish?
Sometimes she gets like inspired because she sees how passionate I am, and she's still at the age where she wants to emulate her parents, where we're still cool to her. Mm-hmm. And so she sees that I'm interested in Spanish, or like Michael's interested in gardening, and so she'll like to engage with me. She's like, "Mommy, do you want to watch my show with me in Spanish?" And of course I'm like, "Absolutely, I do. Let's go watch your show in Spanish." So there are times like that, but I wouldn't say like it's her passion or that she like seeks it out to do it.
She does it to make you happy and to spend time with you and to emulate you.
Yeah. And so I don't want it to be like totally forced on her where, this will be your passion, because she's got other things that she's really interested in. But I do want to set her up for success, and that's why it's not a rush. It's not a race. She's 6 years old. We're going to introduce it to her, and as she gets older, we'll find ways for her to converse with people, if it's italki or finding people in person. But it's not a race, it's a journey.
And you're letting Mike Black Thumb teach her gardening.
I wouldn't say I'm letting him. Okay, my sweet, amazing husband has like rabbit trail. He wants to be a good gardener so bad. That was his COVID hobby. I'll say one of us has had more success in their hobby, and it's me. He grew some watermelons though, so
that's good.
That's cool. And we had squash until the Fire Nation came and attacked, until the bugs came and attacked. And he wants to be organic, which is great, but that doesn't kill the bugs. So, he's really passionate about it, but it's fun because like we'll do like grow things, and she sees like the seeds, growing. So like we still see some of like the plant cycle. It's not all death.
I feel like I did that when I was a kid. I feel like I grew a lima bean in like a cup.
Yes. We did ours in a paper towel. Oh, I should do that. We had I had her grow some like chia seeds in like a clear container so she can see the roots and them grow and stuff, but that's not language learning.
That is not language learning.
That is not language. It's gardening, and I'm not good at it. It's not my passion.
Yeah, so if you were to like I don't know, try and
Mhm.
get more people in. It sounds to me like you've just been
Mhm.
trying things. Do you think
Yeah.
that you would benefit from having like more people trying to refold their kids or have their kids refold?
Yes, I really
'Cause it sounds like
do.
you're
Because
trying
then
everything and seeing what sticks.
a bunch of us would be trying different things and, like, getting advice.
Mhm.
I'm in a lot of, like, homeschool community groups. Um, I promise I'm not homeschooling for weird reasons, y'all. It's just where we are, what we're doing. But, it's nice to see, like, what works for other kids. Like, there's, like you can ask a question like, "Oh, this is happening with my kid. Has anyone had experience with this?" And then you get those answers back. Like, having that collaboration and camaraderie and shared experience with other people is a great way to do several experiments at the same time and then see what works and apply
And
those
those groups are
different
mostly on Facebook,
things.
right?
Yeah, yeah, a lot of the mom groups are on Facebook. Some of them aren't so great,
Telling you,
but
to
I'm in
get
some
the
good ones.
boomer crowd, we need to be more active on Facebook.
I agree.
We've
It's
got the
just
Facebook
we just
pages,
gotta
the
do it.
Facebook groups. We've just got to get people to actually start coming to them.
Join our Facebook group. We have one.
We've got two,
I'll
don't
link
we?
it.
We've got one in Spanish and one in
We
English.
do. We do. I'll link them in the I'm gonna put the video up. So I'll link them in the description below. Join our Facebook groups. Help us make them active. Yeah, there's a lot of like mom groups on Facebook. And they get kind of
'Cause we're old
crazy.
for Discord.
Hmm?
We're old for Discord. We're in
Yeah.
the upper limits of who would be a reliably active Discord user. I think
Yeah.
it's easier to meet adults. Sorry, Discord users, other adults on something like Facebook than it is
It
Discord.
is. I mean, like we're like the cool adults, hanging out with the youngins, the youngsters, not too
Mhm.
young. That was weird. That sounded weird. Let's like pretend that didn't happen. But like, I feel young at heart. There you go. I feel young at heart.
Right.
I sound like a grandma saying this. I'm not like dead yet. I don't need a cane to
But
walk around. But yes, I will say most people in our stage of life are on Facebook and they don't know what a Discord is
I can
or
barely use Facebook. I made a Facebook post on a group for the first
it's
time
not my favorite social
like
platform.
4 or 5 days ago, and I'm like, how do I use Facebook? Because the last time I used Facebook reliably,
Mhm.
like on a regular basis, was like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And the whole website looked different.
Yeah.
It looks
Yeah.
like a mobile app now.
Yeah, it's not great. I would
And
say
I
Facebook's
just
not
I
my
wasn't there
favorite.
for the change.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like a boomer when it comes to using Facebook. I don't know how to do it. Um,
Yeah, it's
and I
not
find the
super
perms weird. I
intuitive.
don't know who can see all of my posts. It's just there's a lot of stuff that like
Yeah.
I'm like, who can see this post? Um,
I don't know.
and yeah, but I do think that if we were to expand out into Facebook,
Mhm.
we would get more older people.
I'm into that. I would love to chat with people my age.
And I've seen the mom groups that you're in, the homeschooling groups that you're in.
Mhm.
Duolingo has a hold on these people.
They do. It like makes my heart sink. Whenever I can like preach the love and redemption of Refold, I I try to like slip it in whatever. Like not weirdly, but oh, my high schooler wants to do Spanish. What's a good way to learn? I
By watching anime
obviously
in Spanish.
Refold. Yeah, by watching anime in Spanish, by following their interests. Like it's funny because like a lot of like the homeschool people want their kids to follow their interests and learn that way. Like that's exactly what that's exactly what immersion learning is.
I did
So
Montessori, and
ooh.
no shade, but it
Oh,
ended up
I'm
with
here
me
for the
having a
shade.
very lopsided
Okay.
ability as a kid.
Really?
Because you follow your interests, but you still have to learn the things that you don't want to learn.
Yep. You
And
do.
that's my
Oh,
takeaway is I ended up walking away from Montessori with an unbalanced skill set.
gotcha. I've heard some similar things. Like there's a balance for sure. There's a lot of different pedagogies. I don't know how to say that word pedagogy.
I have no clue. It's
Well,
one of those
let's just
words
pretend
I've
like I
only ever
said it
seen
right.
written.
Right, exactly. It's a native mistake. But I'm kind of in like you're like foster your child's interests, but at the same time, you got to do what you don't want to do. It's life, you got to work for a paycheck. You got to play the game at some point. But yeah,
It looks like both pedagogy and pedagogy are accepted pronunciations.
double right. Nice.
Yeah,
But yeah.
but maybe if we
Mhm.
ever had time to like, maybe this video will help. Maybe people listening to the
Mm-hmm.
podcast will be like, hey, I'm old too. Sorry. And let's go be old together on Facebook, where we can talk about getting our kids into Refold and
I would love to
things like
chat.
that.
I would love to chat with other people who are teaching or aspiring to teach their children a foreign language, especially from not coming from a bilingual background. You know, I'm not. A lot of people will teach their child a second language, but they're already fluent. You know, or so I don't have that. I am like essentially learning Spanish from zero. I have learned Spanish from cheating to pass. I remembered like the song for the days of the week and how to conjugate estar
What is the
and
song for the days of the week?
you know what? It was lunes, martes, miércoles, jueves, viernes, sábado, domingo. And I have to say it in a gringo voice because that's how I sang the song in high school. But the sábado domingo part really hits really good. My kid even gets it. But yeah, that's the only thing I remember. And the class was awful. It was a terrible class.
So when you look at the other, going back to the homeschooling and the other parents, when you look at what other parents are doing, what are some of the common things that they do with their kids? So,
like for language learning?
Right. And I grew up where like homeschooling was also relatively popular for the weird reasons, not for the normal reasons. And I know that, with homeschooling, with math, you've got Saxon math, and you've got all of these sort of like time-tested courses that are really popular with homeschoolers. But language learning, even back then, people didn't have a good way to get people to teach their kids. One thing that I know that was popular was Mango languages.
Yes, that's popular because you can get it through the library generally. Yeah, and that's not terrible. It's not great though.
It's Pimsleur, the I don't know, the PowerPoint edition.
It's
very similar to Pimsleur, but instead of just being audio, there's sort of like a PowerPoint to it as well.
Yes, yeah. I'm trying to think. What a lot of people like point to Rosetta Stone. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't inflict Rosetta Stone upon your kids.
Do not. It's awful. It's not great. I used to work there. Trust me. And Duolingo is very popular because it's free. Textbooks, and there's like this online tutoring service called like Homeschool Spanish Academy or something like that. But it's still very traditionally based. It's like having a teacher teach you Spanish from English to Spanish, quizzing. It's very, very traditional.
I took 2 years of Spanish in high school, and I don't remember much.
Oh, yeah.
I learned a couple of basic adjectives.
It's such a meme, isn't it? Like,
and I learned to count.
Congratulations. Like, that's pretty good.
I learned time, but like that was it. That's after 2 years. That's not a lot.
Yes. Yeah, it's crazy. You spent all that time to do what? I mean, some kids did well. Some kids really applied themselves and they memorized what they could memorize.
Learn well,
but that wasn't
despite how they're being taught. If they like it, if they're interested in it, they do extra work. They devour the textbook. They eat it up. I was never interested in it.
No.
At the time. The only time I had ever interacted in Spanish in my life at that point was we lived in the Caribbean, and occasionally we would go back to the States. Miami was the closest city, so we were in Miami a lot. And like when I was in Miami, I would hear Spanish. I was like, okay, that's cool. But like I was in Miami like twice a year. And then the rest of my life was totally English. And this was like YouTube was in its infancy. There was no Discord. The world was sort of a smaller place back then.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I don't think I would inflict that upon my kids. So homeschool, Spanish Academy, Duolingo, and Duolingo is getting into other stuff too. They're getting into like mathematics, basic reading skills for English.
I'm low key excited about the math one, because I think that would be probably a good skill.
I think it would help me. Going back to Montessori, I was in remedial math my whole life because Montessori, I was like screw this. I don't have to do it. I don't want to. And I got to high school,
Yeah.
and I only did okay in geometry. Everything else was remedial. Everything.
Gotcha.
My math was so remedial. When I graduated, the administrator was like, we're going to take 2 of these courses off of your transcript because they're so bad. Like they just don't look good on your transcript.
Wow.
I was in like the super slow kid math.
Wow. I didn't do great either in math, so don't feel bad. I had to have tutors and stuff. Like it was not great.
Yeah,
I was good
so
at other stuff. Just not.
Gamification is fun. It works great on kids.
Yeah.
But Duolingo is they're getting into the homeschooling market now. Essentially, they're teaching basic literacy, basic math.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the intervention market. Like your kid is struggling in school. Here's some fun stuff they can do at home to reinforce those concepts that maybe they need extra help with. So yeah, I'm actually really excited about that. And I don't hate Duolingo for languages. Don't at me, but for getting introduced to a language, for getting introduced to basic vocabulary, it's a fun way to get excited about it. But it's obviously not a way to reach fluency, and it's not like a long-term solution. I think it's a really good way to introduce yourself to a language and see if it's something that you're interested in.
I'm not sure about all
beyond that.
Maybe over speaking, but I finished the Indonesian tree a few years ago, and it taught a little over like 1,000, like 1,100, 1,200 words and phrases.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like a long, slow way to do a 1K deck. That's the way
it is. It is.
But for some people, it works. I mean,
but it's more exciting. It's more exciting at first. So like it's
accessible. If you don't know where to go, people have never heard of Anki. We tend to, as Refolders, are like Anki, 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 and everybody knows Anki. And the reality is, if I ask any other person who's not a Refolder, who's not a medical student, what Anki is, they're not going to know.
No, they're not. Everybody knows Duolingo, and it's easy. You don't have to set it up. You can jump right into it. There's
and Duolingo, they have a good
barrier to entry.
Social media game. They got that Gen Z, zany
They have an owl that twerks online. Like it's like a whole thing. Like that owl is so delightfully unhinged. I aspire to be I don't aspire to be Duolingo, but like that owl, it's pretty sweet. So they have a really good shtick, if you will. Yeah, no, I don't think. I mean, I started with Duolingo with Spanish, even though I was doing the immersion thing. I was really intimidated by Anki. I'm one of those people where, like, I wasn't intimidated by like a pre-made deck, but I was so burnt out from Anki with Japanese because that's like all I was doing, and I was really intimidated to like make my own. Yeah, I think though, if like the ES 1K was around, the Refold 1,000 word Spanish deck was around, I wouldn't have felt nearly as intimidated because it was a deck that was already made, high value, really nice deck. But I jumped right into sentence mining, like almost right away. After I think I did like 2 or 3 levels of Duolingo.
You showed me the baby sentence mining. It was so cute. Back when you were still having M do her own sentence mining. And she would like listen for it, and she would hear a phrase and she'd write it down.
Well, I would write it down for her. That was like my really.
You would write it down. That explains why it was spelled correctly.
Yes. Yeah. No, she can't do that. I mean, she wouldn't be able to do that.
Like one of the phrases that she chose was like "cepillarme los dientes" or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, how did she spell that correctly by ear?
She didn't. That was me. And that was just my really bad handwriting because I was writing it really fast, trying to get her to like do it. But I have her draw all of the pictures. That's like the main thing is I want her like focus on it. And I'll like, as she's drawing it, I'm like whispering the word in her ear over and over and over again to try to get her to associate that picture with the meaning. But yeah.
Yeah. So in addition to like Duolingo, what are some other things they're doing? Are there any like actual like textbooks that people are going through? Like,
I'm sure there are.
I remember also from, again, when I was in high school, in my community, homeschooling was very popular. I was not homeschooled. I don't know why it was so popular. Well, I do.
But no shame. Baptists, we're not going to throw any shade.
That's the reason. But I think Pimsleur was also quite popular.
Plumser, I don't know. It's tough because like I have such a little kid, so I'm not like knee deep in like the junior high and high school stuff,
Mhm.
or even late elementary. I am really in like the pre-KK, first grade realm of things, and no one is focusing on teaching their kids Spanish that like this early. Like I don't even think I'm being hyperbolic. I don't really see people talking about teaching their children this young Spanish or foreign language. That's not even on their mind.
They're missing out. That's like prime
They
time.
it
Like
is
that
prime time.
prime time, prime real estate in the
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of resources. So I did find a couple of really cool things, but they weren't really complete. There was this storybook collection of like really short stories that is meant to like tell a story, like a really short like children's story with very simple sentences introducing words, and
Like a
it's
graded
awesome.
reader.
Yes, graded readers, but for like really little kids.
Mhm.
But there's only like maybe 20 of them, and they're really short, so it's not complete. So, but that's an awesome solution. So if that was expanded on, that would be awesome. I bought them and we used them, and she still remembers a lot of like the words and phrases from it. We would read from it every day, and I would treat it kind of like Anki, where I would open the page, I would have her point to, I would say a word, I would have her point to it after we read the book, and that, so that was nice, but that wasn't an exhaustive resource. There's also Muzzy. Have you heard of Muzzy?
I have heard of Muzzy. Muzzy and
Yeah.
Gondoland.
Yeah, Muzzy. So people talk about that. The the show itself is really weird. It feels like
There's 2 shows.
there's season, there's like the first movie, then the sequel
Okay.
for
So there's
Muzzy.
an older
We
Muzzy.
have it. Oh yeah,
There's
yeah, the
there's
cartoon.
that's like 2D.
Yes, it's the same
And then
story. It's the same plot.
it's the same exact everything. They just reanimated it.
Yeah, I'm like, modernized it, so it's not, you know,
Like 1980s.
yeah, they modernized
Mhm.
some of like what was going on. Like they were calling like one character fat or something, and they like changed that, which I think is fine. We don't want your kid running around calling people fat in Spanish because that's the only word that they know. Um, so like, fine, like let's change that. That's great, love it, thanks. But it is cursed. Like I've watched it and I felt like I was high on drugs. Like the story is so bizarre, but one can make an argument that A makes it compelling for kids because they like weird stuff. It's not
Oh, have you
bad.
seen kids shows? They're weird.
Oh, have I seen kids shows? I am immersed in kids shows.
They're just weird. Like kids stuff
They
is
are.
very bizarre.
It's very bizarre. So this is super bizarre, and my daughter actually really likes it, but she likes it in English. So like,
She needs to watch it in Spanish.
I know, right? That's why I bought it. So but she'll watch in English, but I don't mind if she watches it in English and then immediately like the next time she has to watch it in
And to
Spanish.
clarify for the confused listeners, Muzzy and
Yeah.
Gondoland was made by the
Yeah.
BBC.
Yes.
It's like sort of like a graded cartoon series. It's in like a lot of languages. I think it's in like
It's like in
Irish.
every
I think it's in
language.
Korean. It's in
It's
Spanish. It's in German. Like pretty much any of the languages that Western Europeans or North Americans are going to be learning.
mhm,
It's in like it's
mhm.
obviously not going to be in Hassaniya Arabic or whatever, but
It's
uh,
got quite the variety.
and it's like something about like an alien who comes to like medieval planet
I
that
c-
looks like
I
Earth.
I can tell you all about it. It's like there's this gardener, he's in love with the princess, but the royal advisor is evil, and then he makes clones, and there's like this weird existential crisis at the end. It's like this whole thing. It's really intense. My kid loves it. Um and she learned a couple words from it, like king and queen. That's about it. Princess. Um, but it's, if you can stomach watching it, it would probably be helpful as an adult. It's like very comprehensible. It's designed to be super
They've
comprehensible.
got a couple of episodes for free online,
You
and I
can watch the
watched them.
entire cartoon, I think, for free online.
Well, so I maybe the cartoon,
hmm
but I'm talking about the updated 3D version. I think
Oh,
that
they have it
put,
without music, which makes it really intolerable.
yeah. I think I watched episode 1 and 2 in German last year, because I forget why. I was doing
Why?
something Refold related that had me
Yeah.
categorizing things,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm almost sure that I was like grabbing comprehensible input things, and Muzzy obviously was in there, and
It's a
I
thing,
think the
yeah.
BBC they put like episode 1 and 2 of the new version online. I think.
They might have. I don't know. I ended up getting it
Yeah.
because my kid really liked it, and anything that she likes, like for Spanish, a very high value. So yeah, we did. Muzzy's popular. Well, not popular, but it's known. But aside from like Rosetta Stone, Duolingo, and that, there might be some textbooks. There's like this Charlotte Mason philosophy for homeschool, blah blah blah. I think there's like a Spanish course, but I can't really think of anything. But again, I'm not like in that realm. I'm like in like the little kid learn to read. Let's do 1+1 = 2 stuff still. So I don't know. I'll learn about
Yeah.
it, I'm sure, as I progress up through
Charlotte Mason
the
Simple
ranks.
Languages.
I think something like
Teach
that. Yeah.
Spanish, Russian, German, and French at home, even if you don't speak them.
Mm-hmm. I haven't looked
Okay.
into it. I have no idea what the curriculum is, so don't come at me.
Okay.
Don't come at me in the
Gotcha.
comments. I don't know what it is. Unless you've used it.
Gotcha.
How'd it go? Tell me about it.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like traditional schooling is far behind, but homeschooling is far behind when it comes to languages too.
It is. I think it is. I mean, I just think in general, people just don't obsess about
Well, if you
the
think about
optimal
homeschooling in the
way to learn a
States,
language.
monolingual Americans trying to teach a language when they don't actually speak a language can be, it's a compounded problem. At least
It's the whole
with
thing.
teachers, you got at least one teacher who, in theory,
In theory.
speaks the language and can teach.
Yeah. Like I can't speak to if my high school Spanish teacher spoke Spanish because I didn't have a high enough command of the language to really know the difference. But I don't know. Like my French teacher in college was from France, but I still didn't learn anything. Like the way that they teach languages, this isn't great. That's why
My Spanish is not great, but I actually taught at a Chinese cram school, and I had one student who was learning Spanish.
Did I know
And
this? Did I know that you taught at a cram school? This is new lore for me.
I'm not sure, but I had one. We used McGraw-Hill. A lot of the McGraw-Hill
Yes.
textbooks have Spanish
Yes.
versions. They're not
Okay.
for Spanish. They're like learning like basic stuff
Mm-hmm.
in Spanish, and that's what we use.
Yeah.
So your
Yeah. We used to, I remember
McGraw-Hill.
McGraw-Hill. Was it called Ven Conmigo? Because that's what we had. Ven Conmigo. That's the only thing I know about this
So
series.
it wasn't for learning Spanish. It was like a Spanish version of like their humanities textbooks.
Okay.
And I cannot remember the names.
That's probably for the best.
Yeah,
It's
McGraw-Hill
probably for the best.
in Spanish.
Like I'm curious, but also you don't need that taking up space in your brain. I don't know why the name of my Spanish book stuck with me. I don't know what the name of my French textbook was, but Ven Conmigo is like etched into my brain.
Let's see here.
I'm at the edge of my seat.
I want to say like McGraw-Hill Aventuras, maybe? I don't remember.
It's
But
okay.
I used the McGraw-Hill textbooks for like normal, like
Mhm.
this is like social studies and stuff,
Mhm.
but in Spanish. And this was like before Refold, so my Spanish was even worse than it is now. But
You
yeah,
have good
I do know that
Spanish.
like Spanish is bad,
I don't
but
believe you.
I do know that a lot of American textbook makers,
Mm-hmm.
or at least McGraw-Hill, makes their normal textbooks, but in Spanish.
Okay. It's actually cool to
Mhm.
know. It's probably a better way to teach Spanish. I like teaching something else.
Yeah, that is. I wonder if I have. I'm getting distracted by this because I know.
It's
I've
like
got this.
it's on the tip of your tongue, and like you just like have to like know what it is when you. I get it. It's cool.
Well,
It's the
I
ADHD.
know I've
It's
got-
the
I
ADHD
know I've
taking
got-
over.
I know I've got some scans of it somewhere. Like,
That's hardcore.
yeah, I don't know where it is. Okay.
It's okay.
Anyways,
It's okay.
yeah. So, if if you're out there and you have
Yeah.
children and you're trying to get them to Refold,
Chat,
definitely say hi. We have a Facebook.
please.
You don't have to go on Discord.
You don't have to go on Discord. Join our Facebook. We have a
Join the
group.
Facebook. We got
We
2
are trying to
groups.
spin it off. We have it set up. So, oh, my microphone almost just fell off. I'm not used to be on camera. Like all my chaos is like here for the world. But yeah, we have 2 groups. We have the English speaking group and the Spanish speaking group. We haven't really done much with it. We set it up, but if you build it, they will come.
I do not know how to use
really
Facebook.
Work.
I'll have, and I learned by doing. I'll have to actually like start making posts and stuff to learn how to use Facebook. I have no clue.
Let's sync up. We'll do it. We'll set up.
Yeah,
Facebook.
I really don't know how to use Facebook. I used to know how to use it before they did the redesign.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we could get Refold, I don't know. What's a good term for old Refolders?
I don't know. I don't know.
Like
all the terms that I'm coming up with are not great.
You know, because a lot of people in the community are the ones who are active in Discord are they just lean young because Discord as a platform leads young.
Sure. Yeah.
And yeah, it would be really cool. I'm interested in people, you know, trying to Refold with their kids and you know, do what you're doing.
Yeah.
So
me too. I would love to meet like other dozens of us. I think there's only like I just know me.
Is there anything you tried with her that didn't work when it comes to Spanish?
I mean, I would say like in theory, nothing has really worked yet. Like we don't.
Okay.
You know, like we're still in the information gathering.
She has a super thick accent.
Who?
Your daughter, M.
Does she?
She's got a very gringa accent. The times I've heard her speak Spanish were very
really?
unabashedly American. Yeah.
She's what she is.
Because for the listeners, sometimes, you know, Bree and I, we have like internal meetings and I can hear her daughter, you know, being a child, you know, talking and I've heard her randomly shout out Spanish for no reason. It's definitely very American sounding. So the gringo accent starts early, apparently.
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, when she tries, her accent's not terrible. But when she's just like saying stuff or experimenting with words, I think she's still like trying to hear it through like an English context, you know, trying to like hear things. But
has she done much Spanish music?
Yeah, she loves like my Spanish playlist, but
I'm like,
I can't let her listen to that forever. Music. Yeah, like there's this series called Canticos, and it's like baby songs and stuff. She's not super into it. It's tough. And I don't know. I think I'd rather her like learn from shows and stuff. You know, like she's like me.
The thing with songs is they get those earworms where they get stuck in their head and they sing them all day long.
There are some like bilingual ones. The problem is like, you know, is it compelling? She's 6 years old. I can't make her watch anything and pay attention. Like I could force her to sit down. I can force her to sit down with a TV on, but like I can't like hold her head and like Clockwork Orange, like keep her eyes open, you know, and like make her watch something. Like that's not something that I could do. So I've really got to follow her interests. And there have been times when she was super into it. Oh, she and there's like some Spanish songs that I like that are like on my playlist that she loves. And she'll try to sing like the M version of the song.
She has some sort of child MP3 player, right?
Yeah, she does. And I've put like a Spanish mix on there for her. So like her favorite Spanish songs are on there. And she loves the opening to the Silvana Sin Lana show. She loves that song. She sings it all the time. And I don't know the name of the singer, but it's like poniendo la mano sobre el corazón. She loves that song. And so she sings that all the time. But she like babbles it.
When I taught kids, traditional language teacher here, for the younger ones, for kids about her age, I feel like we used a lot of songs. Yeah,
I could see that.
They weren't even always good songs. Sometimes it was just me chanting the vocab. You know, not even like an actual proper fun song.
We do that. We got the days of the week.
Chanting.
We sing the days of the week. We sing the months of the year. Like we sing, like there's like musical multiplication, like when we get there. But for Spanish, I don't know. I've like I can look for stuff. It's just like nothing has like
Mhm.
piqued your interest. So I'm not gonna.
Yeah, another thing, tales from a former language teacher with younger
Mhm.
kids is they like rewards. So like giving stickers
Yes,
for doing
they do.
things, Um,
Yes.
so I made it a goal. I was not stingy with my stickers. I gave them as many stickers as I could because
Hmm.
they liked it. And that would encourage them to do more, to get more
Hmm.
stickers.
Oh yeah.
So sometimes, do you do any sort of gamification reward system with her?
Yeah, but it's like more for like general behavior. We have like a sticker reward chart. We have if she gets through her classes, like she'll get like a special treat or something if she like pays attention. Um, but I wouldn't say like while I'm like doing the lesson with her. We actually, you know what? I take that back. We sometimes when she has a really hard time paying attention, we'll play game show. And I'm the game show host. And then like I give her like random prizes like throughout the thing. So like yes, but nothing structured during a lesson. I don't have like a hot dog reward system or choose a pizza or ice cream or something like that. Like I don't have that. I haven't needed to.
Yeah, there's lots of them. You can get like a blank pizza cut out and then have
Mhm.
them each sticker reward would be like a topping. And so you can put toppings on the pizza and like there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do that kids really like.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you ever get her, you had her essentially sentence mining at one point. And if you
I did.
ever get her back in sentence mining, each sentence she mines could be some kind of reward.
It could be. It could be. That's not a bad idea. I'm happy though I'm doing the top like 1,000 most
I
frequent
haven't
words.
taught kids in several years. I'm
Yeah.
out of practice, but I used to like be the kid whisperer. I never really
All right,
liked
teach my
teaching
kids
kids
Spanish.
because
I'll sign her up. There we go. Let's go.
I never really liked teaching kids. It was never what I
Outsourcing.
was not what I signed up for when I became a language teacher.
Yeah.
But uh, before teaching kids, I was bad with kids. But then
Hmm.
working with them, I was an
Kids
awful
are so
kids teacher.
cool.
My
Really?
first year, I would talk to them like they were little adults,
They're
and then
not.
over time, you learn they're not.
They're not. It's
They're
like a whole
not.
thing. I gamify everything. Like we play. I like make little games out of everything. So it's not like a reward system, but everything that we do is somehow a game. Either I add like game pieces to it and we roll dice and we do
Oh
things,
yeah,
but
like when you're
it's
teaching
everything's a
punctuation
game.
to them, like
Hmm.
you put a sentence and then you put a period and then you have them
Hmm.
say it. Then you put
Hmm.
the same sentence and you put an exclamation mark, and you have them uh,
Basically scream
yell it.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and like teaching them like there's all sorts of things they learn by playing.
They do. They do. And like in a way, that's so do we. I mean, like learning a language, right? If it's not compelling, if it's not fun, if it doesn't feel not like playful, I wouldn't say that it's like playful, but if it's not something that is totally engaging and
Have
awesome,
I
like you're
been
not going to.
shaking my mic this whole time?
Yes.
Okay, so I've got restless legs, and I bounce my legs nonstop. So have I just spent like this past hour just like thumping the mic?
Yeah.
Has it been the whole hour?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I tried
unfortunate.
messaging you.
I don't look at the messages when I'm in the podcast. I pay attention to the
I thought
podcast.
you saw it. That's great. I'm glad that you do that.
I saw it just now, 50 minutes later. Okay. Well,
Oops. No
whoops.
big deal.
Sorry. I guess the listeners are going to be like hearing my thumping.
It's all right.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
It's all right. This is a good
But
conversation.
yeah, well, I think gamification is good for adults. I definitely like Link for its gamification. I know it's not limitized and it doesn't matter, but I love seeing 25,000 words in Spanish and
In my opinion, that makes it better because that number
because the
just goes
number's
up and
bigger.
up and up and up
I
and
love
up.
it. It's
Yeah.
sort of like yeah, something about it trips that reward switch in me.
Hmm. Yeah, it's nice. But also like, reading what you like. Like I read a lot of like fantasy stuff and
Mhm.
that's fun. It's pretend. I watch a lot of stuff that's like pretend, read a lot of stuff that's pretend. Um, you know, stuff that like captures my imagination. It's not classic play. Like I'm not like rolling a dice and getting like rewards or whatever for doing it, but it's imaginative and it's fun, and it works for me. So why not for kids
I
that
think it
actually
works
learn
for a
through
lot of
play?
adults.
I think
There's definitely a pushback for like over gamification
mhm.
that you see in a lot of like very vocal spaces, but I feel like they're in the minority. Duolingo is big because it's fun for people. They like the rewards, they like the streaks, they like the leaderboards, they like that it's a cultural phenomenon where they can like share Duolingo memes, like,
Yeah,
the bird threatened to kill my family because I did not.
right. Maybe we
Or
should
should I
make
say
our
unalive?
mascot murderous
Sorry,
unalive.
the bird
Yes.
threatened to unalive. I don't want to get like
Yes.
censored.
It's
Um,
too
the
it's too late.
Duolingo bird threatened to unalive my family. Haha. And
Yeah,
people like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, they do. They do.
You're the social media mage. You need to make Refold social media compete with
Okay.
Duolingo.
Well, first get me a costume and I will do crazy things dressed up like a paper crane. What kind of persona would the crane have even? Like that's like a whole conversation. It's like a whole discussion. Yeah. We're playful on social media though, I think. So
All right. So we
call
are
it out.
nearing the end of the podcast. Before we go, do you want to
Okay.
give a word of wisdom? What's the takeaway?
Don't be a middle-aged mom on Twitter. And let's see. Takeaway. If you have kids, follow their interests, just like you follow your own interests while learning. And I don't know. I don't have any takeaways. I feel like I'm on the spot. Language learning takes a long time, and that's okay. I don't know. What are my takeaways? What I have? Follow us on Twitter. Join our
Follow us
Facebook
on
group.
Twitter.
Join our Facebook group. Watch the
Get on
next episode
Facebook.
of the podcast.
Boomers, we need to unite. Old people,
Boomers unite.
Boomers unite. Let's get the old people going. Let's get the Facebook
Boomers
going.
unite. Yeah, let's do it.
And definitely, if you're homeschooling your kid, reach out to Bree.
Please.
She would love to like talk about what she's doing and
if you're
what's
like
working and what isn't working.
If you're like a cool homeschool person, reach out.
All right. And guys, thank you. I will see you next week. I want to thank you for listening to this episode of the Refold podcast. If you're watching the live premiere, you're in luck. Right as it ends, we have an after party over on the Refold Central Discord server. Come join us by using refold.link/join and chat about the episode. If you enjoyed the podcast and would like to hear more, you can find older episodes to listen to on YouTube and Spotify. Let us know what you thought about the video by liking and leaving a comment below. Do you have suggestions for upcoming visitors or requests for particular topics? Please feel free to reach out to me on Discord at GeorgePig #5413 or via email at clayton@refold.la. Thank you all for watching and or listening, and I'll see you next week.